Hello, everybody. Eric here to talk about F. Paul Wilson's Secret History of the World. And today we're talking about Fatal Error, a Repairman Jack novel. Is that what that says? Yes, it does. Of course, this copy is from Tor. It's F. Paul Wilson. And as usual, I will review the book and then get into how it ties into the secret history with little spoilers, trying to avoid spoilers, but some are going to come out as I'm talking connective tissues and things. But first, let's just talk about the book in general. And in this book, Jack is hired by this guy named Munir, whose wife and son have been kidnapped. At first, Jack doesn't want to take the job. He doesn't believe in doing working kidnappings. He's like, just call the police. But some things happen, convince Jack to help out. And so that's his fix. But then there's a lot of other stuff going on. So that's your nutshell, I guess. Excuse me. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's great. But if things like Reprisal, which I definitely gave 5 stars, and I think I gave The Last Christmas 5 stars. I can't give them all. I mean, I could if they were all just amazing. But, I liked Reprisal a little bit more than this one, so this has got to be a 4-star. Anyway, it's typical fantastic F. Paul Wilson writing, typical fantastic F. Paul Wilson characters. There's some great tension built up in this story. It's one of the least standalone stories, and he says that in the past few books have had an author's note at the beginning that says essentially the last, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe in the Repairman Jack series are telling just the big long end game story. And I'm counting Night World in that list, which is a Repairman Jack / Adversary Cycle book, if I'm not mistaken. So this, you could read it if you've never read anything else, and I think you'd enjoy it, but I also think you'd have a ton of questions. I believe he has that character that is sort of the audience stand-in, where our characters can explain things to them. So if you've never read this before, or never read any of this series before, you will still get an explanation, very quick explanation of the conflict, the adversary, the otherness, the ally, all that stuff. So it's fast paced. I read it in 2 days, I think. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like it was 2 days. Like I flew through it. It's compelling. But it's, the fix that Jack is hired for is maybe a quarter of the story. So I do recommend it. I don't recommend that you pick this up and this is the first Repairman Jack book or F. Paul Wilson book that you read. You can do it. Just wouldn't make any sense to. But it's really, really good. Not one of my favorites, but it's F. Paul Wilson. The guy is a fantastic writer, and this whole series, this whole secret history project that I'm doing has been really, really good. Is there anything else I want to say before I get to the connective tissue stuff? I mentioned the fix that he's working on, and even the fix isn't standalone. It ties into what's going, the overall story. And we do get, as I said, there's building tension because of certain things that people are doing, that bad guys are doing. It creates some very personal tension. And considering the things that F. Paul Wilson has done in the past, you never know who might live, who might die Except, I mean, essentially, we know Jack is going to live because there's 2 more books. So, unless someone else takes up the mantle. Uh, so, yeah, just a fantastic thriller. That's Fatal Error by F. Paul Wilson. Let's get into the other stuff. So, there will be spoilers and things. Try to avoid big spoilers. Um, so, as far as the timeline goes, I have my trusty copy of Signals here, which I'm getting to. There's only 3 more books for me to read. But let's see. Fatal Error. Hey, this says includes the ringer. My copy doesn't have the ringer. What the hell? I'm gonna have to try and find a copy of that story. Available in quick fixes. I have that, so I will be able to read it. But this copy does not include it. But anyway, it says Fatal Error is February. Now, right ahead of that, the last book, Reprisal, ends in February. The end of this book essentially happens at the exact same time. There might be a few hours difference, but essentially happens at the exact same time as the end of Reprisal. So, a lot of things are coming together in this. We have the Septimus Order. We have the Kickers. We have the Dormentalists. We have Dawn Pickering. Is that her last name? She's back. She wasn't in the last one. I think. She's in By the Sword. She's introduced in Bloodlines. I'm looking at my books over there, obviously. She's in By the Sword. I don't think she was in Ground Zero. Maybe some mention of her. Excuse me. She's back in a big way. So she's this pregnant teenager. As I said, was introduced in Bloodlines. So there's been stuff going on with her. The adversary, Rassilum, however you say his name, people keep referring to the fact that he's down south working on a project. That's Reprisal. That's what's going on there. There's literally a crossover scene, well, ish, where Glaken, however you say his name, in Reprisal, he shows up at this cemetery, and in this, he asks Jack for a ride to that cemetery, and that's the scene. That's when he's at the cemetery. We have the Companion of Shrem. We have the bad guys trying to take out the lady. We have her final death is what they're going for. So this is all of course building to the end, and the insane thing that happens at the end of Reprisal, again, we learn about it here. We don't have that, it's not, that scene isn't here, but the repercussions of that scene are in here. So everything coming together, and I was really, really tempted to just jump into the next book, which is The Dark at the End, I believe is what it's called. Where's my list? I went too far? Nope, not far enough. Yes, The Dark at the End. Almost. I was so close to just jumping straight into that, but I don't want to burn out. I do have 3 more to read. Night World looks pretty big. That's the last one. This one isn't. But it's The Dark at the End, then Signals, then Night World. That's what I've got going on. But I did read some things, or I'm currently reading something. The Dark at the End is going to be the next thing I read. And I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, especially considering the events in Fatal Error, which is in February, and then The Dark at the End is in March. I'm guessing that the repercussions of what happened in Fatal Error will still be a major part of what's going on in the dark at the end. Always feels wrong when I say that. I have to double check. The dark at the end. What else? What else is tying in? I'm trying to obviously do this without too many spoilers. So, yeah, I mean, things are in motion. Rassilon has got some stuff going on, and he's actually quite happy with certain events. Glaken and the lady, our heroes, not happy with certain events. And characters die in this book. One. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to. I try not to spoil anything. So I don't want to. I think if I said any more, it might give too much away. But, excuse me. I think that's about it. I don't know that I want to say anymore because I don't want to spoil anything. As I said in the review part, the fix that Jack is on does essentially, Jack doesn't know it, Munir doesn't know it, but it is all part of the greater plot of Fatal Error and the bad guys. So, as usual, the lady said there are no coincidences anymore. And, yeah. Great stuff. 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. I can't give a half on Goodreads, but 4.5, essentially. So I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say about Fatal Error by F. Paul Wilson. I'm very excited to continue this, but I'm going to keep reading. I have 3 more books. So basically, when I finish the book I'm reading now, I'm going to read The Dark at the End. Then I'll read another book or 2. Then I'll read Signals. Then I'll read another book or 2. It might be down to just 1 in between because it's so exciting what's going on. And then Night World. And we will have come to the end. But that's for the future. I don't do a question at the end of these videos. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers, all the spoilers you want. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. If you're on Blue Sky, I am @EL Smith. And that's all I've got. Yep, that's it. So until next time, read more books.